So let's go ahead and get started. Many of you were surprised when you came to Galapagos and you found rocky reefs, not extensive coral reefs. This is Gardner Bay, our first time getting into the water at Espanola Island. That does not negate the fact that we have a massive amount of life on these rocky reefs, and one of the biggest representations is from the phylum Echinodermata. This phylum has about 7,500 species on the planet and includes sea urchins, such as this white sea urchin. Sea stars, sand dollars, sea cucumbers are all part of Echinodermata. Now, over the reef, we have quite a few small species that are specialized. This is a barber fish, which is from a group called the butterfly fish. And this next one is a three-banded butterfly fish. Now, these are specialized because these are cleaner fish. Larger species will come in, and these will come right up to them, check out, see if they need a cleaning, maybe take off some excess growth of algae. Some of you may have seen this, very almost translucent. This is a cornet fish. These are closely related to trumpet fish, pipefish, and also seahorses. Now, young juvenile fish might be found over the reef. This might be somewhat of a protected area for them from potential predators. These are blue and gold snappers, juveniles. We also have some large schools of these, which are an endemic fish, black striped Salamas. Now you're going to notice that these are in what we call a polarized school, which means you note that they all change direction at the same time. Fish in general have a dense nerve web that runs the length of their body, referred to as a lateral line. When one fish changes direction, the other can sense it, and they all change in unison, one way to confuse potential predators. Now, if you haven't seen this fish, you have not been snorkeling in the Galapagos. These are razor surgeon fish. Now, you'd think a fish this size might be worried about potential predators close to shore, such as sea lions, but they have built-in defense. You see those three white spots on the peduncle right before the tail or caudal fin? Those are sharp spines. A potential predator might think twice before going after a razor surgeon fish. Now, here in Galapagos, we have three groups of eels: moray eels, conger eels, and this group are the snake eels, and this is called a tiger snake eel. It's one of the few that we can actually see during the day. They're very active during the day, and you can see with the chemioreceptors, they're dipping in and out of the rocks, trying to find the odor trails of any invertebrates that they might go after. We've had many shark sightings, and they've mostly been white-tipped reef sharks. This is the most common out of the 32 species of sharks that are found in Galapagos. Very shallow water shark, mostly nocturnal, but you do see them active during the day also. Now, a close relative of the sharks are the rays, the cartilaginous group. Now, we have two main species of stingrays. And when I say stingrays, it means that they spend most of their life history close to the seafloor bottom in the benthic area. This is a diamond stingray, and you can see that they upturn the sand. This is one way for them to feed on invertebrates and other items they may be looking for buried in the sand. It's been a great time for Pacific green sea turtles also. As you've learned, this is the only species that nest in the Galapagos, and they have a high fidelity for the island, so they are considered an endemic subspecies. Now, they will come into the shallows for various reasons, maybe feeding, and during nest building season, they'll come up onto the beaches to build nests, but they also come in to rest on the shallow bottom, and they might be down for about 2 to 3 hours taking a nap on the bottom. This is an easy way for them to rest. There's one of our wonderful sailors, DJ Ricky, always keeping an eye on us as we head out. Now, I mentioned we have rocky reefs, but we do also have hard corals. This is at Champion, just off of Floriana Island. This particular genus is called Procioporta, which has about 5 different species underneath it. Now, the next one, the genus is called Pavona, with about 4 species under it. Both of these groups can take the brute force of this drastic temperature change from 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit during the season. We also have soft corals, such as this Gregorian fan coral. You see a lot of particulate in the water. This is how they feed. Now, getting back to Echinodermata, this is an endemic sea star. This is called a Galapagos sun star. Now, it doesn't look like a sea star, but this has over 25 to 35 radial arms coming off of the center radius. And you can see here the two color morphs, the orange and kind of an off-green coloration. Not a very common sea star, one of my favorites. This is called a Bradley's sea star. And the next one is our largest one that we have in Galapagos, a pyramid sea star. Now, some fish lie in wait on the reef. This is a hieroglyphic hawkfish. So what do I mean by this? Well, they're usually active at night. And this next one, a flagcabria, which is from the sea bass. They lie in wait for any potential prey to come past them. They might open their jaw very quickly to suck them in or be able to go after them. Highly camouflaged. This is a stone scorpion fish and actually one of the most venomous fish in the ocean. On their dorsal ray, each of the spines has 2 venom sacs. Very painful to step on or grab these. This is a major predatory fish on the reef. This is called a Mexican streamer hogfish. And this is actually one of the main predators on the sea urchins. They'll put them in their mouth and ram them into the seafloor bottom to be able to open them up. Also, some other larger species on the reef are the parrotfish. Now, this is a blue chin parrotfish, most likely a female. Now, parrotfish are interesting on this planet. For the exception of one species, they are all sequential hermaphrodites, which means they all hatch as females. As they grow larger and out of the predatory range of other predators, they will become males in certain cases. You can see a blue chin parrotfish male to the left who's nibbling on a barnacle there. Now, this is a brilliant way at survival to survive past potential predators. Many fish do this, including many of the wrasses. And this is a white-tip reef shark. Now, many of you have thought that sharks maybe have to continuously swim for respiration, but this is not the case. And if you look at this white-tip reef shark, slowly opening its jaw, and I did slow this down a bit, but it's causing suction and water flow to go over the gill slits, which you can see to the right. This allows for respiration at rest. Now, it was quite rough at Champion, but if you got into some of the whitewater, you may have found this species. These are called still pompanos, and they prefer that whitewash area because they blend in so well, and it helps to protect them from any predators that might come after them. Still pompanos. Now, a lot of fish were coming in at this area where we got in. Numerous species. Here we got dusky chubs, which are an endemic species, and king angelfish. Now, they were accumulating on the windward side of the island because as the current was coming in, it's splitting around the island, but it's bringing in an abundance of phytoplankton, zooplankton, so it's easy for them to feed. This is a part of the triggerfish family. These are called black durgans. And a Cortez chub. You've got some singular fish species there. Some large aggregations in schools, such as burrito grunts. And a single wahoo had come in. Well, wahoo can get up to almost 1.5 meters or almost 4 feet in length. We also had some Pacific green sea turtles, this being a male. And then these guys showed up, the Galapagos sea lions. Very playful. I think everyone's had an experience with the sea lions. But it's interesting here in Galapagos, they have a very long maternal care period. Galapagos sea lions may nurse up to a maximum of 2 to 3 years. That's a very long period, and that's dependent on the productivity in the ocean. So if the pup is nursing, what is the mother going to do? Well, she's going to go offshore and forage. And while she does that, the pup's going to stay close to where the pup was left, and they're going to play all day long. This one was chewing on a sponge. They'll take sea stars, sea cucumbers, use them as chew toys. Marine iguanas, they'll pull on their tail, bring them back into the water when the marine iguana wants to go out. They'll grab the caudal fin of white-tip reef sharks. All of you think that the sea lions are so cute, but you ask any species close to shore and they hate the sea lions. I will give them a little bit of credit, though. All of this play for a couple of years is going to convert into skills that they need when they're eventually weaned and go out on their own. Now, I'm not sure about this species. I'll just call them floaters. Maybe some of you can help me identify this very strange species. Whatever the case is, they do look quite happy floating offshore of Champion Island. Now, this is also a member of the Chinodermata. This is a Galapagos sand dollar. This is Cerro Dragon, Santa Cruz Island, just off the beach area where we went in. These actually burrow into the sand. Also a member of the spiny skin family are pencil sea urchins. We've seen these everywhere. Now, these are grazers, but they also have a different function. Look at their spines. Their spines are covered by colonial bryozoans, incrustation algae, polychaete worms, and when these urchins move, they're causing distribution of these other species. Maybe some of you recognize this. This is a sea cucumber, also part of that big phylum. I like to refer to these as the vacuum cleaners of the seafloor. You can see they have their tendrils out. They're processing out the nutrients they need. And doing so, they're also releasing more nutrients back into the benthic area. So they are fundamental for this ecosystem. Now, over the rocky reef, sometimes it's blanketed with some of these smaller fish. These are black-tip cardinal fish. And these guys, small fish, big attitude. These are yellow-tailed damselfish, and these will maintain their own personal algae garden, which is beneficial for the algal species. Now, if a sea urchin wanders in, they'll grab it in their mouth and throw it to the side. If you accidentally place your hand in their garden, they will come up and forcibly bite it. Now, we can see some hat-pin sea urchins, but take a look at the fish with the iridescent blue dots. Now, it makes sense that juvenile versions of fish might have a different coloration to differentiate them from the adult. And this is the adult version. This is a giant damselfish. Now, it makes sense because predators might just go after the adults as opposed to the juveniles. We also had some large schools of sardines. This is a favorite of many of the boobies, including the blue-footed boobies. We also had some Pacific green sea turtles in the shallows that were actively feeding. You can see a lot of small fish around them trying to get a morsel as the sea turtle grazes on some of the algal species. And look carefully. See the movement? This is a Galapagos reef octopus. And you'll note here, I saw this one moving, but there are actually two octopus, one tucked in there and the other one that had changed position. Octopus are incredible. The most intelligent mollusk. They are able to problem solve and possibly self-aware. Each of their tentacles has an integrated central nervous system. But something that fascinates me is their capability at camouflage or changing their shape even. They are one of the main food groups for many predators, so allowing them to change their color is very important. They have chromatophores, which are pigment-laced cell structures, which they can open or close to change their color. Another diamond stingray, but you can see two small puffers. These are concentric or bullseye puffers waiting for the stingray to upturn the sand, so they might be able to grab a morsel or two. And I was able to find another tiger snake eel. Now, we do have an endemic version of this, which has very fine modeling, very close to the rostrum or head. And this was this morning. Maybe some of you are paying attention to all the wildlife, but if you looked, you may have noticed some of the geological formations, such as the lava tubes that went down into the ocean. Now, over the sandy bottom, almost looked like a sea star garden. Our largest sea star in Galapagos is the Panamic sea cushion. Actually feed over the sandy bottom, looking for invertebrates, in particular, very small or juvenile sea urchins. Do everyone remember the name of this one? Yes, chocolate chip sea star. Easy one to remember. And maybe you can guess the name of this one. This is called a blue star. We also had brown sea cucumbers. It was kind of strange to see it over the sandy bottom. This has actually been one of the controlled fisheries of the local fishermen. Now, I did increase the speed on this quite a bit. This is a pink flower urchin, and you can see how it takes these tubes and they're able to bring debris on the back to protect them from predators. This is a tube anemone, not a true sea anemone, but closely related. These will have a secretion and they'll build their tubes in the seafloor. And these are incredibly long-lived. These can get easily over 25 to 35 years old. And speaking of camouflage, take a look at this one. This is called a calico lizard fish. Now, this is another cornet fish, but I want you to take a look as I get closer. It changes its coloration. This also has chromatophores, just like the octopus. I was happy to see a juvenile Galapagos shark. We were able to see the larger version off of our anchorage at night. And we did have quite a few white-tip reef sharks coming over the reef. Really a great indication of a healthy environment when you have quite a few sharks. They are the apex predator. And when you have an apex predator that's healthy, the rest of the environment is going to be healthy. And then these showed up, Galapagos penguins. An incredible, iconic species of Galapagos, the only tropical penguin on the planet, the only one that nests potentially north of the equatorial line. This population is very small and very delicate. We only have a few thousand individuals here in the Galapagos. These are highly susceptible to climatic changes, and the only reason that they're found here in Galapagos is because of the Cromwell upwelling current that brings nutrient-rich colder water to the surface. Now, during El Niño phenomena, there is a drop-off in productivity of the ocean, and it's very difficult for them. And the population has probably gone down to below 500 in one of our largest El Niños of the last century. You'll see them with algal growth on their breast plumage, which means they're more in the water for less and less food. Now, I know all of you subscribe to the magazine, but if you remember, in the May edition of National Geographic, there was an article, the main subject, penguins. And in that article, one of my dear friends, she was part of that article, she did a study here in the Galapagos. And she was trying to figure out a way to be able to identify penguins and check the health of the populations. And to do that, she was using photography. Now, as the penguin gets close, you're going to notice black dots on the breast plumage. Those dots are consistent throughout the life of the penguin, even after they molt their feathers. So if you take a picture, you can actually put that in and have enough computing power, even an AI system, to identify individuals with photographs from the distance without having to disturb them in their population. It was such a pleasure to see so many healthy penguins today and just swimming among all the different groups as we were out at Bartolomé. And this was this afternoon at Sombrero Chino off of Santiago Island. We had some white-tip reef sharks tucked into one of these lava tubes. Now, this is the second main species of our stingrays or benthic rays. This is called a marbled ray, and these are large. These can get up to 1 meter in diameter. I love the name in Spanish. They're called raya sartén, which means frying pan ray. Almost looks like a cast iron frying pan. Now, we have numerous puffer species in Galapagos, and this is one of the most dynamic. This is called a guinea fowl pufferfish. Now, maybe some of you were able to see a very bright yellow version of this. It is a color morph within this species. Our largest puffer species, however, is this one. This is called a Pacific spot fin puffer. These can get up to over 1 foot in length. They're quite shy, mostly nocturnal in their behavior. Also, we were able to go through large schools of these. This is actually from the same group as all those other damsels. These are called Panamic Sergeant Majors. And with the current coming through, it was bringing in a lot of food for them. I also did find one turtle just cruising along the bottom, but you notice those white dots on the back? Those are barnacles, but not just any barnacle species. This barnacle species is specific to the carapace of sea turtles. They do not harm the sea turtle, but they catch a free ride. Now, I showed one group of eels, and this is the second of the 3 groups. This is from the conger eels. This is a Galapagos garden eel. Now, maybe some of you going over the sandy bottom were able to see them poking their heads out. With their secretion, they'll make a tube in the bottom and be able to feed on any passing zooplankton. You see, they're quite skittish, though. You have a surgeonfish coming in and popped his head right back in. Now, this fish species, very strange. I've only seen one. This is a celsofish. And we also had penguins coming out along the coast in the late afternoon. I do hope you enjoyed that, and this gave you a better idea of how important the surrounding waters of the Galapagos are.